Hello, happy Wednesday. Welcome to boot camp. Jazzy here, program manager for Access Autodesk. And for today's workout, we're doing a circuit here, 6 movements, 45 seconds of work, 15 seconds of rest / transition time, 3 times through. We don't need any equipment today, just yourself. And we're gonna need enough space to step out to each side. So we're gonna do kind of a double movement with the lateral lunge here. But other than that, we will be laying on the ground as well during the workout. So if you want to grab a mat or something to have on the ground, feel free to grab that. But I'm gonna go ahead real quick with a quick demo run through, and then we're gonna get right into our circuit. So first off here, we're gonna start off with a pike push-up. So on our hands and toes, we're then going to push our hips up towards the ceiling, bring our head down to the ground, push the ground away, coming back up. So starting off with our pike push-ups there. And then we're going to go ahead and stand up. We're going to do a bent over T. So for this, I need to move actually my camera. I don't know what's going on there. Okay. So what we're gonna do a bent over T, but the way we're gonna do it today, we are going to hold at the top. So we're coming down into our position, then one arm at a time, we're gonna come down and back up. So we're gonna alternate our arms here. So we're gonna do a little bit of an isometric hold on one of our arms. So we should really feel this one in the tops on the backs of our shoulders. So that's our second movement. And then the next 2 movements here are the same. We're just going to do all on one side, then all on the other side. And I know I say that it's going to probably look not like that. You'll see in a second, but we're going to do a curtsy lunge into a lateral lunge. So we are going to be using both legs both times, but we're going to flip-flop the movement there. So first leg, whatever you want to start with, we're going to do a curtsy lunge. So stepping back behind diagonal, our hips are blinding the camera here. Headlights are blinding the camera, the words I was looking for. Coming down into our curtsy lunge, stepping straight out into a lateral lunge and back to our curtsy lunge. So we're going to be going through both those movements. So like I said, we're using both our legs. One leg is doing one thing, the other leg's doing the other, and then we'll flip it. So we'll do all on the other leg. Again, same thing, back behind diagonal, driving through into our lateral lunge. Almost fell over. And then for the last 2 movements, we are going to be on the ground here. So first thing we're going to do are glute bridge marches. So all the way on our backs, feet hip width apart, driving our hips up towards the ceiling, and then exhaling one knee at a time, coming up. Like we are marching there, working on our glutes and our core. And then finally, to finish off, we are going to do a dead bug hold. So for that, we're going to have our knees above our hips, hands above our arms, and we're going to hold our core nice and steady there. So we shouldn't feel anything in our legs. We're going to just use our core. And you can always make that one a little bit more challenging by holding a weight above your hands for a little core assist if you would like. That is going to be our workout for today. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to start off with our warm-up. And I bet we could all guess what our warm-up's going to be. So we're going to start off with the world's greatest stretch coming to the top of our space. We're going to go ahead and interlace our fingers, grab onto one of our knees, pull our knee towards our chest. And we're going to exhale, step back, reverse lunge. Hands are going to come down on the inside of our front foot. Back leg stays nice and straight. Nice big deep inhale. And exhale, opening up towards the ceiling. Gazing past our hand, thumb is facing behind us, so we're looking at our palm. And we're going to exhale, plant our hand outside of our front foot, bring our back foot a little bit closer, and push our hips up into our hamstring stretch. And we're going to go ahead and exhale, bring our feet together, push the ground away, and stand on up. Wonderful. All right, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. We're going to go ahead and interlace our fingers, grabbing onto our other knee, pulling towards our chest. And we're going to go ahead and exhale, step back, reverse lunge. Hands are coming down on the inside of our front foot. Back leg stays nice and straight. Nice, big, deep inhale. And exhale, opening up towards the ceiling, gazing past our hand. Thumb is facing behind us. And we're gonna go ahead and exhale, planting outside of our back foot. Front foot. Bring our back foot a little bit closer and push our hips up into our hamstring stretch. Nice, big, deep inhale. And we're gonna go ahead and exhale. Bring our feet together, push the ground away, stand on up. All right, next part, last part of our warm-up, more so. Plank to pike, so we're gonna go ahead and make our way onto the ground on our hands and toes. And when we're ready, we're gonna go ahead and push our hips up into our pike position. We can go ahead, pedal our heels, so go ahead, press one heel into the ground. And switch. And switch. And we're gonna switch one more time. And then we can go ahead, poke our head in between our arms, opening up our upper back. And back to plank. We're gonna go ahead and do it 2 more times coming up. And back down. And last one coming up. And then we can go ahead, back to plank, bring those knees gently to the ground. You're ready to rock and roll. So we are starting off with our pike push-ups. So we can stay on the ground there. 45, 15. I'm getting the timer started here. 3, 2, 1, and go. On our hands and toes. Glasses aren't gonna stay on. Socks. Should get a new pair. So bringing our head as close to the ground as we can. Keeping our core engaged. Our back is nice and flat. Have a slight bend in your knees if you need it in terms of your legs and your calf and ankle mobility, flexibility, all that. Bringing our elbows are pointed towards our feet. Driving through our hands. I feel this in our shoulders, back and core. 3, 2, 1. All right. Next up, we are going to do our bent over tees, but we are going to hold at the top the whole time. 3, 2, 1. So butt to belly button, sinking into our feet, or holding the T position. So we're holding here, bringing our arm down, squeezing through the backs of our shoulders. We act like we have a plane of glass at our back. We are breaking the glass with our elbows. Like I said, we're getting a little bit of our isometric hold. We want our hand to be slightly below our shoulder. We don't want to be straight out or up because our shoulder muscle runs down. So I want to make sure we're moving it within that plane of motion. 3, 2, 1. All right. Next up, we have our curtsy lunge to a lateral lunge. So we're going to do all on one side and then switch our legs. 3, 2, 1. So back behind diagonal. And then hips face forward. So head lies on our hips behind the camera. Let our knee track past our second toe. We're driving through our whole foot. We're going to feel that in our front glute. Stepping directly out to the side. So hips go back and our knees go forward. So same balance. Keeping our core engaged here. Switching directly. Try to not set your foot down as we're going between each movement. Balance. It's not working so well today. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. I always recommend doing this if you're at home, socks or like flat-footed. 3, 2, 1. Because I know for me, my balance is a lot of times messed up during these movements because of the way my foot is touching the ground because of the shoes that I'm wearing. So you think I would learn by now, but for class, a lot of times, since I'm already wearing these shoes, just have to push through But again, back behind diagonal, hips are forward, keeping the chest is going to be over the arch of the foot that we are using. So when I'm in my curtsy lunge, right now, my chest is over my right foot, obviously, and then to the left foot, it's going towards the leg that's stepping out. 3, 2, 1. Sometimes that first one is really just getting used to the movement, and then the second and third one, we should be a little bit more used to it. And then we're going to go ahead on the ground. Glute bridge marches are next. 3, 2, 1. So I want to have our feet hip width apart here. Butt to belly button, our core is locked in. Keep leaving our hips up as high as we can, driving through one heel as we drive the other foot up. So it's really important that we keep our feet hip width. It's really easy to plant our foot in the middle, so that way we're a little bit more stable. But when we have our feet planted where we left them, it's going to force us to use our core and our glutes a little bit more. So if you need to slow it down a little bit, so make sure we're not rocking. 3, 2, 1. Or maybe it's just me that needs to do that. All right. Last part of round 1, and then we're going to do that 2 more times. We're going to do a dead bug hold. If you like to do a regular dead bug, feel free to do that instead. 3, 2, 1. So our knees are directly above our hips. They're not forward. They're out. That's going to lock in our core. Our hands are directly above our arms. If you would like, feel free to do a dead bug, or you can do a hold, but we really want to make sure we're breathing through our straw. Our core is coming down and together. So really working on activating and engaging our core. Mine is already shaking. I'm not sure if that has to do with all the core work we did yesterday in boot camp, but we really want to make sure our back is staying on the ground. Focus on our breath. 3, 2, 1. All right. 1 round down, 2 to go. We got pike push-ups first or next, whatever you want to call it. 3, 2, 1. Bringing our hips up, coming down, exhaling back up. So we do want to get our head as close to the ground as we can, pushing through our whole hand. Our back is flat, so we're not arching here. Our shoulder blades are pulled down and back, so we have our orange squeezed in between our shoulder blades. Great job. Keep pushing. Three, 2, 1. Awesome. All right. Next up, bent over tees. We are holding at the top, getting our isometric hold going in there. 3, 2, 1. So, and same thing, butt to belly button. Core is locked in. Shoulder blades are pulled down and back. We're sinking into our hips, so we're pushing our hips back, holding our T at the top. Our core is engaged. Again, it's like we're breaking glass with our elbow. We should feel this all activated in the top part of our shoulders. Again, our hands are facing, or our palms are facing behind us, but our hands are slightly down because that's the direction our muscle fibers go in. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. All right, next up, curtsy lunge into lateral lunge. I gotta get my core mentally ready for this. 3, 2, 1. All right, same as last time. Back diagonal. Start with whichever foot you like. I'm gonna face this way for a minute. So when we are doing this, again, hips are forward. We're finding the right distance for us. So maybe We need to step closer with one foot than we do the other foot. Hips are facing forward. If we let our hips open up, so when I'm this way, I'm here. If I'm opened up this way, it's going to take the emphasis away from our glutes and our legs. So we need to use our core for our anti-rotation. 3, 2, 1. All right. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to face the same direction. But this way, this leg, we're going to focus more on our lateral lunge. 3, 2, 1. So again, same thing. But then when we step out into our lunge, our knee comes forward as our hips go back. So I know it sounds backwards, but it's really how we do any lunge or squat motion. We want to make sure that we're not coming too far on our knee, right? So on this one, my knee is moving, my hips are not. And we don't want to be here where our hips are moving and our knee is not. Our knee is coming forward as our hips go back to go into our lateral squat, which should look just like this leg does, right, on our curtsy lunge. It's the same position. It's just a different angle. 3, 2, 1. And we're stepping differently, but otherwise it's the same. All right, next up, glute bridge marches on our backs. 3, 2, 1. So feet hip width. 1 leg. Again, it does take a little bit more core focus to leave our feet hip width to 1, not let our hips dip side to side, to not over rotate, and to also make sure we're using our glutes and our core. Great job. Going at the pace that feels good for you. 3, 2, 1. All right. Last part of our second round, dead bug hold, and then we got one more round, and then we're going to be good to go. So we'll do obviously a quick cool down. 3, 2, 1. So again, if you would like, you can do regular dead bugs. You can do a core assist, so you can hold a weight in your hands. You can do 1 weight, 2 dumbbells, whatever feels good. Or you can just really focus on our breath, bringing our core together. We want to try not to feel this in our legs. So we don't want our hips to be holding our legs up. We want our core to help us here. So of course we are going to obviously use our hips. We don't want to not use our core and only use our hips. So that's where the activation and engagement of our core is going to help. 3, 2, 1. All right. 2 down, 1 to go. We have pike push-ups. 3, 2, 1. All right. Tucking our toes, pushing our hips up. Oh, ground is slippery right here. What is happening? Maybe it's just my shoe. What is happening? Okay. Very good. No, we're not. The heck? Exhaling. Pushing up. Core is engaged. Our shoulder blades are pulled down and back. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Okay, we are done with those. Next up, we have bent over tees with our hold. 3, 2, 1. So we're holding. This one's great for our posture, not only from our upper back and our shoulder perspective, but also from our low back extensors, because holding this position is going to help us strengthen that part of our back to help with tension and strengthening and all of that. We're also, again, working on our glutes and our hamstrings too through that isometric hold. So this one's a lot of holding, but it's definitely going to help us strengthen and offset our positioning. 3, 2. All right. Sorry, that was a really quiet one. Next up, curtsy lunge into our lateral lunge. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Back behind diagonal. Curtsy into our lateral. Lots of lunges today. Single leg movements are great to help even out each of our sides, because we all have a dominant and a non-dominant side. So you may even feel it differently. So maybe your lateral lunge, you feel more in your quad on one leg, more in your hamstring the other leg. I don't know, I'm making this up. Or maybe you feel it in your glutes more for your curtsy lunge on one leg. The other leg, you feel it more in your quads. So being mindful. 3, 2, 1. I just mean by mindful how each leg feels. And really focusing on making each leg feel the same as much as we can. Okay, going into our other leg. 3, 2, 1. Again, same thing here. And if you need to, you can always move slower. I know, like I say this almost every time. My right leg is always behind my left leg because of my overuse injuries. My left leg is always my push-off leg for softball as well. So my right glute has a little bit trouble waking up. So sometimes I do like to move a little bit slower to make sure I really am activating my glute muscles the way I need to. And sometimes you might find that you have to step on your foot differently on different sides. So figuring that all out through trial and error. 3, 2, 1. Okay, done with those. We got 2 more movements. So we have glute bridge marches, and then dead bugs. We are going to finish out on the ground today. And then we'll do a nice cool down. 3, 2, 1. Forgot what we were doing. Okay. And then for our cool down, we're going to do some quad rocks with our adductor stretch. Maybe even some reach throughs. So really do a nice stretch for our legs and our inner thighs. We did a lot of lateral lunges today. Also opening up our hips and our glutes at the same time. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. All right, last up here, dead bugs. Well, dead bug hold, I guess, but you can really do whatever you'd like to do on this last movement. 3, 2, 1. So knees above our hips, hands above our shoulders. Focus on our breath. Low back stays on the ground. Knees stay above our hips. Pulling, I like to imagine we're zipping up our zip pack, our 6-pack, or we're just really bringing each side of our core together. Great job. This is like holding a plank, but different because we're on our back. Working a few different muscles here, but a lot of similar ones as well. 3, 2, 1. And that is going to be it for today's circuit. So go ahead, grab a sip of water if you need it. And we're going to go ahead and be on our hands and knees for our cool down. So making our way from our back to our hands and knees, we're going to do quadruped rocks with a nice adductor stretch here. So On our hands and knees, we're going to take one of our feet. We're going to stick it straight out to the side like a kickstand. Pinky toe is going to stay on the ground. So making sure we're bringing our foot out enough so that way our hips are level. We don't want to be here with our hips. We want our back to be nice and flat. Nice big inhale as we rock back. And then exhale back to our starting position. So we're going to go ahead and do 4 of those here, coming back. And forward. 2 more coming back. And forward. And last one here, back. And forward. And once we finish that last one, we can go ahead and bring our knee back up underneath our hip. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So other leg straight out to the side. Again, finding the distance that feels good for you. And we're going to do the same thing. Inhale, coming back. Exhale, forward. Inhaling back. Exhale, forward. 2 more, coming back. And forward. And last one, coming back. And forward. And once we finish our last one, we can bring our knee back up underneath our hip. And feel free to stay on the ground, or you can return to a seated, kneeling, or standing position. That is going to be all the time for us today. So great job, y'all. Hopefully we feel like we accomplished a good workout after that. Thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you all have a great day, and hopefully I'll see y'all again tomorrow for Exercise the Exos.